Hello, and welcome to KWBE, Kicking It with Brother Ed. We have a special program today. I know everyone must be thinking, why is this lady's voice on here? No worries, you got the right channel. It's just that today, your hosts have hair. Unlike Brother Ed, who he will be our guest today, and we will be talking to him because this month is Alcoholism Awareness Month, which Brother Ed has a message to share with everyone and to tell them what he has been through in his past. So if you all are ready now, tell me you're ready to listen to what our own Brother Ed have to say. I'm about to bring him on. With no further ado, we're going to bring on our own lot. First and foremost, I'm sorry. My name is Jacqueline. I did not introduce myself to you all. So, okay, he will be coming on to you live shortly. All right. Brother Ed will be coming on. All right. Soon. Just give him 1 second to get it together. And here we go. We have our own Brother Ed. Hey, Brother Ed, how are you this morning?
Hey, Sister Jacqueline, I'm doing great. How about you?
Well, I'm hanging in there. I'm doing well now that we've seen you. Okay, so today we're going to ask you about your journey with alcoholism. Now, please tell our audience about how alcohol became a part of your life.
Ooh.
And how old were you when you first started drinking? And how did it impact your life?
Okay, well, thank you, Sister Jacqueline, and thanks for taking over the engineering and all of this stuff. I'm glad to be in the interviewee seat. Those are three questions I think you asked that are very, they're tough, but I'm going to answer all of them. I believe the first one was how did alcohol, go ahead.
How did alcohol become a part of your life?
Yes. So, like anybody, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I had problems like anybody else, but I don't think I dealt with them necessarily like many people have dealt with them. I dealt better than some, worse than most, I believe. I could be wrong, and about the same as many. And I started drinking at the age of 15.
Wow.
In those days, you could get a bottle of Boone's Farm apple wine. I remember this very well for like 50 cents. And an exciting thing for my friends and I to do on Saturday nights was walk down to what you would call KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, but it was Geno's in those days in Jersey. And we would walk down there and we would have a couple of 3 bottles of Boone's Farm apple wine for 50 cents each. Or Tiger Rose, really nasty stuff. But we would consume that stuff on our way down there. Then we would get something to eat and we walk back and drink some more. And in those days, we didn't throw up, but the throwing up was to come later. Matter of fact, my best friend and I, during high school, we were part of that whole crowd. And we did that. We were the leaders, actually. And we drank a lot. And I remember when we were 19, we were going to graduate. We went to, what was it? It's the rum stuff. Do you know the rum stuff? What do you call it? See, it's been so long, I don't even remember.
Bacardi? No.
Bacardi, thank you. Yeah, we went to Bacardi rum. We graduated to 151. We thought we were doing something.
That's hard.
I think Bacardi normally, I don't know what it is now, but I think in those days, the normal Bacardi was like 90 proof. But we went to 151 proof, and we got so drunk. We were in my apartment. My parents were gone. We got so drunk that we locked ourselves out of the apartment. This lady had to let us back into the apartment, and we were at her house. And I blacked out. That's the first time I blacked out. I was only like 19, right?
Yeah.
And once she got us in, and my parents came, I didn't know any of this. I blacked out. I'm going to tell you how I knew it in a moment. Parents came, and his mom came, and we're in that house, the apartment, and I wake up. I'm still drunk, mind you. I'm messed up. I'm drunk, and I look across the living room, and I see his mom he's laying on her lap and he's throwing up in this pot she's holding, and she looks so like embarrassed.
Wow.
I remember looking at him and I'm like, oh my God, look at this fool. How did he let this happen? And I'm throwing up in my pot.
Pot cussing the kettle, okay.
And my mom has me in her lap and I'm throwing up in this pot. And that was the beginning of my alcohol career. You said what impacted me? When did I start? And what else?
It says, you told me you were 15 when you started, right?
Yes.
And what did it do to your life? Like, what part did it play in your life? It played a pretty important part at that time because
it
was
wreaked
fun.
havoc on my life. I mean, I don't wish that kind of life that I was dealing with for nobody. And I don't wish that on anyone, even though, thank God, I've been free 34 years.
Yay.
You know, I often say, you might have even heard me say it, that had I not started drinking at the age of 15, if I'd kept going straight, I probably would have been a millionaire by now, because it just so happens that I just finished my 3rd book. You know, I wrote a play that went on stage. You know, we got this program. We're doing a lot.
Great.
You know, I'm a preacher. You know, I preach sermons. I teach Bible study.
Yes.
You know, and to be totally honest with you, I really, really love my life right now. Like, I hear people all the time talk about the good old days, But for Ed, these are the good old days. And I think anybody out there dealing with alcohol or any kind of addiction, you can get to that part. But the journey to get here was pretty bad. Okay. Pretty bad.
Believe you.
I managed to get a great government job as an investigator. My wife died in 1987, and I was 30 years old when she died. Wow. And I got this government job not that long after that. Matter of fact, the first day I was on the job was my 31st birthday. Gotcha. But several years later, and I had more tragedies that occurred in my life, plenty of tragedies, plenty. Several years later, I was consumed and virtually destroyed by alcohol. Okay. So, Brother Ed, tell us about other addictions. Like, did you have anything else that, you know, you were addicted to? Well, no. I mean, like most people in that era, I experimented with stuff, but I can't say I was addicted to anything else. But people have to recognize that addictions are pretty much the same. Yeah. You could apply the same principles, whether you're addicted to alcohol or drugs or I would call cigarettes addiction too, right? Cigarettes, that's an addiction I had. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. I wasn't sure. Say again? Now, I wasn't sure if you would consider that an addiction, which I think it is. Without a doubt. That matter of fact, believe it or not, it wasn't as hard for me to get off alcohol as it was cigarettes. Not that alcohol wasn't hard. It was terrible. But I had a reason to get off alcohol. Matter of fact, let me finish telling that story because that'll bring it home, and I'm going to be completely transparent. Exactly. Not because I want to shock you or say, oh, look at what he went through. None of that. Because I want to help those who need it. Right, right. Alcohol had taken me to the point. I carried a gun on my job. I was a federal investigator. Alcohol took me to the point where I had my gun in my hand one night, April 24th, 1991. Wow. And I was going to blow my brains out. Couldn't take it anymore. And that's what alcohol had taken me. Right. And fortunately, my brother Lou, whom I believe you know, he's a pastor now. He came over to my house at like 4 a.m. because I thought to call him before I pulled the trigger. And I called him and he came over and he was my lifeline that night. And he taught me a lot of what I still stand with today, 34 years later, including pray over everything, everything, everything. Yes. He's a good reason why I'm in the ministry myself now and hoping to help people like times like this. So you don't have to deal with that. You don't have to do, and you don't have to go it alone. Right. You know, you don't even have to have strength. I didn't have strength. And God has all the strength we need. My pastor had a sermon this morning and discussed the 3 things that God are that we are not. He's omnipresent. That means he's everywhere all the time. He's
Amen.
omniscient. That means he's all knowing. And he's omnipotent. That means he has strength that you and I simply do not have. This is a
Yes.
God you want to rely on to relieve you of things like alcohol and drugs, gambling, sex, cigarettes, whatever. And speaking of cigarettes, now I can transition into that. I prayed for several years. I smoked a long time. I started smoking when I was in the Army, also at the age of 19. I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for God to release me from cigarettes, and he didn't do it. I tried to do it on my own several times. Didn't happen.
Wow.
But one day, and I think it was 2000, it wasn't 2008, it was 2011. That's when it was. In 2011, I had a cigarette one day, and immediately I got pain in my back that did not go away for 3 months. That's how God relieved me of cigarettes. And it's not that I said, oh, I'm never smoking again, because I said that plenty of times and it didn't happen, right? It was because God had rendered me physically to a position where I could not smoke.
Absolutely.
It hurt like crazy to smoke. I couldn't even go to sleep at night unless, and I knew this much, I wasn't that stupid. I anointed myself with oil, and I took a Tylenol PM. That's how I went to sleep every night.
That might take away the pain a little bit, but God knows
it helped me sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I stayed off cigarettes for 3 months.
Wow.
Doing that. And I didn't go back, but I want to tell you what happened at the end of the 3 months. I was doing a service at a funeral service. It was my niece, actually, who unfortunately had passed away prematurely. And she was an addict of sorts, various things. And but at the end of her life, the last like 3 years, she gave her life to Jesus. And boy, that was a great decision. And she was not afraid to die. I mean, it hurt me and other relatives of mine, but she was ready. She was like satisfied. She's like, you know, I've run this race. I've run a good race. And she passed on. But I helped my brother eulogize her at the funeral. And at the funeral, 4 ladies gave themselves to Christ. It might have been 3, but at least 3, no more than 4.
Wow.
And I remember that day. This is 3 months after I was unable to smoke. And I remember that day when I stepped out of that church onto the sidewalk, the pain went away just like that. So
that
the first thing became, say again?
That was your sign.
Absolutely.
That was your sign.
But the first thing, Jacqueline, that came to this fool's mind was, oh, wow, I feel good. I could smoke a cigarette. That's stupid. That's an addiction. All right. And I know there's people out there that still have that addiction. And cigarettes now, what are they, like $12 a pack or something like that? When I started smoking in 1975, and I was in the Army, which meant I got my discount stuff from the PX and the commissary.
Right.
35 cents.
Yeah, wow.
35 cents a pack. I mean, a carton would cost you like $2 or something. Right, a carton now must be like $40 or $50, something crazy.
I guess that's why we had so many smokers in the olden days, like in the 60s, and that's why it was so many people
could afford it.
Yeah.
Now people can't afford it, right?
Nope.
So, but I gave up. I'm sorry. I committed to give up cigarettes when they hit $1. That didn't happen. Then when they hit $3, I said, okay, that's enough. I'm gonna stop. It didn't happen. You know, I think when I finally did quit, they were like $5 a pack, which was bad enough. Okay. But hey, I went that day after my niece's funeral, thinking that I would have a cigarette again. But the good Lord spoke to me, and it was my own voice that I heard telling me, don't do that. That's stupid. You haven't had this for 3 months. Don't do it. Get rid of these things. So yes, it's an addiction, but it's one with the Lord's help. And that's my main message here. With God, you can do anything. The Bible says in the book of Philippians that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you.
Absolutely.
And I totally believe that, because I don't have that kind of strength, Jackie.
I know.
I don't have it. But God has it. He's omnipotent. He's all powerful.
Always. Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
So
yes.
I personally, I do not have that kind of strength. And I learned to rely on him. I think those were the first couple of times with alcohol and cigarettes, because those were the big demons threatening me at that time. But since then, I relied on him totally for everything after that. And like I said earlier, I don't look back at the good old days. These are the good old days for Brother
Yes,
Ed.
yes, yes.
Even though I'm older and everything, I'm very, I'm getting up there. You know, I hit a milestone birthday next year, you know.
Well,
uh,
Brother Ed, you're as old as you feel. And
well, I
I'm sure
feel
you don't
great.
feel old.
I feel great. You know, the Lord has done so much for me that I thought not possible, but He's done it. You know, and He freed
Wow.
me from alcohol, cigarettes. You know,
Yes.
I'm good. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, I just have to ask you, how did this addiction impact your journey and how are you doing now?
Well, now, as I said, I'm doing phenomenally well. Not that my life is without problems. I do have problems and challenges and
Yeah.
setbacks and all of that, but I
Mm.
deal with them differently. And I want to say this to anybody out there who's dealing with any kind of addiction, not just alcohol, but including alcohol, that what that bottle or that white powder or the gambling, whatever it is, the cigarettes, whatever, is preventing you from living life.
Yes.
So you figure I drank alcohol for like um, 20 years. I was a consumer of alcohol and it got worse and worse each time to the point where I didn't even really like alcohol, but I kept consuming it.
Right.
And it prevented me from living life. Same with cigarettes on a smaller scale. I smoked
Yeah.
cigarettes for 35 years.
Wow.
35 years. I didn't stop until I was 54, right?
Wow.
Uh, so if you do the math, you can tell I'm not a young man, even though I
Well,
feel
you smoked cigarettes for 35 years and you've been alcohol free for 34 years.
right. That's right.
That's like,
Never looked
look
at
at
it
the
that way.
numbers.
That's
Look at them.
awesome.
Yes.
Yes, that is correct. That is
Yes.
totally 1000%
Wow.
correct.
That is
But
amazing. Mhm.
yes, but
That is,
I stopped drinking after 20 years, and the reason being is because it had terrible impact on my life.
yeah.
Absolutely awful. You know, I got to the point where I was drinking every day. I remember one night I was sitting at my bedroom window. I had my obligatory bottle of scotch with me. I had a little pint of scotch. I used to get scotch every day from the same liquor store. I did it so frequently. And even the bar that I hung out at, I went there so frequently
Wow.
that I never had to talk to them. I mean, I would say hello and everything. I would never tell them what I wanted. They knew what I wanted.
Right, right,
I was
right.
there every day. All
Mm.
right. Um, but it impacted my walk terribly to the point. I mean, look, can we be real about this thing? I want to
We
be
need
real.
to.
I don't want to play. So
Mm.
in line with that, I was going to kill myself. That's where alcohol had taken me. Now I'm talking to the audience now, the
Yes.
those who have addictions. And if you have a family member or somebody that has an addiction, they need to hear this part. Okay. This is also we're live right now, but it's also on recording. So you can retrieve it at any time and take them to this part of the interview if you want. I think they should watch the whole thing, but if you want to take them to this part, that's fine. This is very, very important. Everybody has a rock bottom, but you don't have to get there. You can stop before then with the Lord's help. My rock bottom was to have the desire, the willingness, and the wherewithal to commit suicide.
Mm.
Wasn't thinking about my family. I had my two oldest children are absolutely wonderful. They're both in their 40s now. They have kids, and it's awesome. My younger kids don't know anything about that. I mean, they know what I tell them. They didn't experience, but the oldest two, they went through it with me. And I wasn't thinking about them. I wasn't thinking about anything else, anybody else. I was thinking selfishly only about me. And addiction is a selfish undertaking. All right. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that to
Yeah.
make you feel bad. Yeah, because you don't think about nothing else.
Yeah, because think about your family. You don't think about if
Right.
you're so addicted to something that's going to let you take your life. I mean,
Right.
that's totally, yeah, that's not a good
It
thing.
is.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even love my life. When I went to AA, you know, I went to the hospital for a month to get treatment for it. I
Wow.
was strongly encouraged by my job to take advantage of that option. And I did. And I wasn't crazy about it. I mean, when I drove up to the hospital and I saw these people standing out on the porch smoking cigarettes and everything, you know, and I was like, oh my God, I got to be with these people for a month or more, you know, but they turned out to be great people. And I had a hard time because I had to confess some things that I didn't want to confess. As you can see nowadays, I don't have a problem with it. If somebody judges me for what I'm saying or sharing, then that's on them. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm cool with that. You know, I say what's up, you know, and I think that's one reason why some people at least don't mind hearing my sermons, because I'm out there. You know, I'm not holding back. I'm going to tell you what's up with me and, you know, what's up, what could be up with you. But the impact on my life was so awful that alcohol had on me that I was almost there where I was going to commit suicide. That's how strong an impact alcohol had on my life. But God had other plans. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess you can't get clean or can't become free of anything until you really decide to do it. Because if you don't want to go into rehab, how are you going to get clean? And if you don't want to do it, you can't be forced to do it, because you will not, you'll come out and still go back to drinking
right.
or whatever
And a
drugs.
lot of people do that.
So it has to be one, you have to want to do this for yourself, and not anyone telling you to do it, but you just get up and say, I need to get clean. Yeah, like you said,
Well,
rock
that's
bottom.
true, but that's not the whole story, because there's other things. Like in my case, I didn't want to go to the hospital. I didn't want to go, you know, and when I got there, I definitely didn't want to be there.
Right.
You know, but my job encouraged me, because I got in trouble with my job because of alcohol, and they encouraged me to go. Matter of fact, I remember we had a big conference room in the office, and the boss, I think he was the second in command, and it was a big organization. He was the second. I'm not mentioning the name because some people know who I work for, but I'm not going to mention it today because it's not about the job. It's about
right.
journey. But I had a big boss in the conference room. It was a big conference room, and it was just he and I in there. And all he did is he reached across the table and put his hand on my forearm and said, "Do you think you're an alcoholic?" And all I could do was burst into tears, because that's what I felt at that time. I was like, wow, this brother like broke through my wall that I had up. You know, I thought everything was cool, because most people didn't believe it. They were like, oh, he goes out, he has drinks with us and everything's cool. And I got into so much trouble. I probably should have lost that job. And I was worried about that at first. But somebody said to me in the rehab center, don't worry about your job. Be more concerned with your life. Remember, you were going to kill yourself.
True.
And that set me free from being concerned about my job. And what did the pastor say this morning? Be anxious for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Take everything to God in prayer.
Exactly.
Not only was I not anxious once that word got to me, but I took it to God in prayer, and I left it with him. And that's what we have to do. You got to leave it with him.
As we're coming down to our last 5 minutes, Brother Ed.
Yes.
What would you tell anyone that's out there? I guess you already said it, but what advice would you give someone who's trying to come out of this situation that you got out of?
Just trust God. God was all I had. I didn't have anybody else. I mean, my brother Lou was used by God to do his part.
Yes.
But as far as a daily walk, I had only God, and I learned to trust him along the way. He's done so much to me, for me rather, and he's walked with me every step of my journey before, during, and since. He even walked with me when I didn't want him or even myself walking with me. Let me say something else. How much time we got? 4 minutes.
We got like 4 minutes.
Okay. I'm not gonna use all that time because
that's fine.
I'm gonna turn it back to you.
Fine.
But I want to say this. When I was in the rehab, I think I started saying this earlier. When I was in the rehab center and I started learning all the AA lingo and everything, they used to always say, you have to love yourself. And I'm going to be honest with you. What I used to think when I would hear that so frequently is love myself. And forgive my language, but this is what I used to say. I hate my damn self. I don't even, what do you mean love yourself?
Wow.
That's some crazy stuff. But today, 2025, Brother Ed loves Brother Ed.
You have a lot to live for,
Brother Ed.
In 2025, you have a lot to look forward to and a lot going on for you. So.
Absolutely. And I love my life now. I can't say that enough. And I came all the way from the bottom. And right now, I mean, I'm not at the top like people think, like you're not Jay-Z or Beyonce, and I don't care about that. But I'm at the top for Ed. You know, I'm doing what God put me on this earth to do. I'm ministering to people, helping people. I'm writing to help people get informed on, you know, the biblical perspective on what the issues are that we should be concerned with. Same with Bible study. So I'm at the top as far as I'm concerned, and I feel very, very good about it. And I want to thank you for giving me this time. I know it took up a lot of time, but you're good.
Yes, but I wanted to know, do you want to tell your viewing audience anything about your upcoming program when you will be sitting back in this seat? Would you like to tell anyone?
Yes. Yeah, we have a Mother's Day program coming up. We do that every year, and this year it promises to be as good, if not better, than previous years. It's going to be on Mother's Day Sunday. I think that's the 12th of May. I'm going to look it up right now. So I can tell you all.
Sunday is Mother's Day, the 11th.
The 11th, yes. May 11th. We're going to have our program. It's going to be pre-recorded, so the mothers on the program will not have to worry about interrupting their Mother's Day. And you can access, like all of our programs, the recording anytime.
All right. All right, Brother Ed. So if that's all we have to say, well, you want to tell your viewing audience, see you when they see you. You'll be back in this chair.
God bless you. And thank you again, Sister Jacqueline.
Thank you so much for telling us about your journey, because I hope it went to someone who's listening, or someone will tell someone else. So it'll penetrate their ears, their hearts, and their minds, so they'll be able to do what you do. You know.
Yes.
And okay, Brother Ed, we will chat with you soon. And that's it, folks. So I would like to thank all of you in the audience who came on today to listen to your own Brother Ed speak on himself and him being in the alcoholism that he had. So until the 11th, we will be seeing you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye. Take care. Come on now. I think it's going to be off in a minute.